Dude, I've been telling people to watch your podcast.
Aw, thanks.
I'm like the only person that reposts your stuff too, besides your mom.
I
Just be
guess I
honest.
just
You make a
wasn't.
new personality each place you go. Like, ha ha ha, this will be my new personality for this town.
Okay, low key. So,
Oh, we're besties?
right. Yeah. Okay. Oh my god. Ew. I like Celsius
I
too.
can't afford Red Bull anymore. I switched to Rockstar because it's so cheap. It's not good though.
Okay.
Oh, dude.
We can
You
move
gotta
on.
tag my Instagram in this. My followers are gonna love this. I'll do an
Like, I
interview on
haven't
you.
said it.
I'll interview you for your military
No.
stuff. Yeah.
My friend has already done it.
Oh,
No.
yeah.
She's
Am I not your friend?
I,
First, you don't like
Is
any
this
of my posts, and then you don't call me your friend.
if I run out of episode ideas, I'd love to call you back.
I don't think you have ideas.
Hey everyone, welcome to Home is Where the Heart Is. I'm Allie, your host and fellow military kid. I'm building this community as part of my Girl Scout Gold Award project to make sure no military kid has to navigate this life alone. My goal is to create a lasting space for us to find our footing, no matter where the map takes us next. This is the spot where we can connect and share advice about all the highs, lows, and messy in-betweens of life on the move. And if you're not a military kid, you're still welcome. Gain some empathy and learn something new. So, if you've ever packed your life into a box, survived your first day at a new school, or wondered what it's like to do those things, you're in the right place. Because here, home isn't just a place, it's where your heart is. And today on the podcast, we have Joseph. Why don't you introduce yourself to everybody?
Hi, my name is Joseph Papero. My father is currently an Air National Guardsman down at Bradley Air Force Base in Hartford, Connecticut. Prior to that, he was a active duty member of the United States Air Force, and he's been working as a navigator on C-130 aircraft. He's currently a lieutenant colonel. Me personally, though, I have lived in New Hampshire since about 2014. Some of my passions are law enforcement and firefighting. It's what I hope to do in the future, and I also hope to join the Air Force after I graduate my senior year and go into fire protection. Yeah, that's really it for me.
That's so cool. So, your dad switched branches of the Air Force.
Yeah, going into around that time, there was the water. I guess it was he didn't want us to move too much. He wanted us to have a solid route because when my father was in high school, his family moved him down to Florida, which was hard for him, and he didn't want us to have to experience that. He also wanted more job security and to be able to provide better for his family. So he decided to switch to National Guard so he could still serve his country, number one, still fly, number two, and also hold the civilian job, number three. I think that's given my family many benefits of still being able to stay in the military, whereas we also get to have one place we live. We're not constantly moving. We don't know where we're going to be in 3 years or so.
Absolutely. Yeah, and that's something that's very selfless of your father to make those choices with you guys at the top of his priority list. And I like the way that he found a middle ground between his own goals and then also serving his country and his family. That's something that's really special. So, life as a military kid slash growing up in a military family, you said you've been living in New Hampshire since 2014. So you haven't been like frequently moving, but how's it been? Do you still feel like a military kid in a school that you've been at forever?
I mean, yes, it's different because my dad works down in Connecticut, but we live up here. So my friends whose dads are guardsmen at the Air Force base closest to us, their dads just come home for the night when it's a guard weekend, but my dad will stay down. But he also deploys still, which it's kind of hard. Recently in the fall of 2025, he left to go to Djibouti for deployment, which is north of Somalia. So he was gone for about 4 months, which is pretty long for an aircrew deployment.
Absolutely.
And that was probably my longest deployment that I can remember that he was gone for. And but it's still pretty nice being able to have those friends that are also that have dads that are also guardsmen because you're able to connect with them really, and their families helped us out quite a bit during that time. You know, with watching. I have two little sisters. One of them's only 8, so we need somebody to watch her. But it also gives me good perspective because I'm able to go up to guard weekends with him and talk to people in career fields I want to pursue in the Air Force and be able to determine if I want to do that or not. My
Yeah.
dream is to hopefully get an online education through the military's post 9/11 GI Bills and pursue becoming a fighter pilot. Hopefully, it's probably around 2032 that would probably happen.
Okay. So yeah, um, why does your dad serve in Connecticut and not at your most near base?
It's kind of funny. So when he was retiring from active duty, he didn't want to live in Connecticut, but they were the closest base that had guards or had C-130s with navigators.
Mhm.
Because in New Hampshire we have KC-46s. I believe we had KC-35s at the time. We have KC-46s, and they don't require a navigator. And in Massachusetts, they have F-15Cs, and in Vermont, they have F-35As, and in Maine, they have KC-46s. So none of those have navigators.
Mhm.
And Connecticut was the closest base we could do it, but we didn't want to live in Massachusetts or Connecticut.
Right, which just goes to show, like, picking the best place for your family to live as well. So, what is your favorite part about being a military kid?
I love going on base. I mean, it's really fun. I'm joining Civil Air Patrol soon, but
Mhm.
it's also great to talk to people who are in the military where it's actually organic and it's not just a recruiter at the high school telling you that it's going to be all sunshine and rainbows. They give you the actual,
Mm,
like, what it's going to be like. Like, yeah, you're going to leave your family for long periods of time for stupid stuff sometimes, but it's also going to be really rewarding. You're going to make lifelong connections. You're going to get this great job experience, and it's going to help
mhm.
you out a lot in the future.
So, going back to sunshine and rainbows, some people have very polar perspectives about the military, like, they love it or they hate it. So, is there anything that you hate or you dislike about being a military kid?
I don't like it that my dad will just have to leave to go, like,
Absolutely.
he was in the global war on terror for a long time, and a lot of that felt pretty political, especially like the pullout. It didn't feel completed, and it felt like it was a waste of everybody's time and all the people that died. And
Absolutely.
a lot of veterans suffer with PTSD from what they went over through there, and it
Mhm.
kind of felt like it was for nothing that we just pulled out, and we didn't really like all that stuff that we did there fell apart. All of our machines and equipment we left there fell to the Taliban, and those sort of engagements that we don't have a plan for, I don't like. That's one part of the military I'm not happy with. That it's just so much politics to it that stuff is meaningless sometimes.
Yeah, and that's definitely a perspective that should be considered because the military is like you have a boss and you listen to your boss. You don't have a choice whether or not like you do what you're told in that sense. And that's a really meaningful thing to think about as a military kid. A lot of people wouldn't choose that, but I love like your wholesome perspective that you have on that. The child serves too, which is something that um, it's important to keep in mind. So, how has your perspective on military life changed over time, if at all? If you're talking about politics and recent things in the last 5, 10 years, do you have any opinions on that?
There definitely has been some hesitance. I mean, if you join active duty, like we were for a little bit, you don't really have a choice where you move. I mean, you can write
Mhm.
down some places you'd like to move, but that doesn't mean you're going to go there necessarily.
Yeah, just a little
And
wish list for fun.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So that's definitely interesting because I mean, you don't want to go to like the worst place in the country, but I mean, you could also go cool places like Japan or Germany or South Korea.
Yes. Wait, we should tell them about we were both born in Japan.
Yeah,
That's how our
Allie was
moms
actually my
became
first friend. She
friends.
met me in the
Yeah,
hospital, so she has
yeah.
like privileges, I guess.
Our moms were stationed. Well, our both my parents are in the Air Force, but they were stationed in Japan, and me and Joey are 6 months apart, so we've known each other our whole entire lives.
Yeah. So my
What a
mom, she was
privilege.
a civilian contractor in Japan. I think she was like a office lady essentially. But my
Mhm,
father's been in the Air Force. He did ROTC in college too, but he wanted to do op stuff. He originally wanted to do stuff with B-52s, but in navigator school, he met with the guys that did tactical airlift stuff and he really liked it, so he wanted to pursue that. So he
mhm.
moved on to C-130s and he was assigned to Yokota Air Force Base as one of his first assignments, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, and so we're twins like that. So as you were saying, perspective on military life changing over time. Do you love it more, hate it more, appreciate it, unappreciate it?
Um, I appreciate it a lot more than I used to. I mean,
Okay.
I don't think I like had disrespect for veterans, but I don't think I understood it as much. I just thought it was something that people do. But you
Mhm.
definitely learn about the sacrifices that you have to make a lot more. I mean, leaving everything you know for 6 months on end to go to some crappy part of the world. That's not
Mhm.
fun. I mean, that takes a lot. And it's not like it's giant, awesome pay either. It's like pretty median pay for what you do.
Mhm.
But I mean, there's also a lot of benefit that comes with it. Again, going back to the connections you're going to make are fantastic. I mean, my dad knows people from all over the world. He has so many connections. I mean, I think his job now, a lot of what he does is because of how he learned to operate in the military. I think it's more of the social stuff that is so helpful. And there's a lot of
Mhm.
technical skills you could learn too. I mean, you can go in the military to do just about any job. You could be a X-ray technician, you could be a firefighter, you could be a pilot,
Yeah.
somebody who specializes in fueling, HVAC, so much stuff to do.
Mhm. Um, yeah, and I think a lot of people, like you said, the respect for veterans is huge, and I think as military children, we get to see that firsthand. And the best thing that we can do is talk about that because there's a lot of people out there who, like you said, maybe not necessarily have disrespect, but do not understand the full implications of what being a veteran is or being active duty or on the guard or reserve or whatever it is. So I think that's definitely something very important. So, do you have a specific memory that sums up military kid life? Maybe a funny memory or a special memory, personal, terrible?
Um, I don't know why, but this one just pops to mind. It was a couple years ago. I don't know what was happening in the world, but my dad needed to be on call for something. I just thought it was
Mhm.
funny. I don't know. I don't know if that's the best memory, but
Being on call.
yeah, just it's like, okay, I have to be able to be at the base in 3 hours or less. So I'm just gonna sit around, not do anything. Just gonna be on call.
I love that. So, where do you think your home is?
I mean, I've lived in New Hampshire for so long. I guess I gotta say here. Uh,
Yeah.
I think that question's more pointed at active duty kids, but
Mhm.
yeah, I'd say here. We don't really have family around, but our family's really scattered all over the country.
Okay.
I'd say that most of my family lives in Illinois, but I'd guess home is here.
Okay. Yeah, and that's something like again, I was talking um with some other kids from Bloom and they were talking about how it's weird because sometimes home isn't where you've lived the longest, but sometimes it's where your family is and sometimes it's where none of your family is. So it just goes to show the spectrum of military kids. And I think like especially with your unique like switching branches and then staying here or in New Hampshire for that 12 years now. Um it's just another way that you can be a military kid. Okay, so we're gonna talk a little bit about the National Guard. So, what's something like specially specific about the National Guard? Having a parent in the National Guard. Talk about it. Someone who doesn't even know what the National Guard is.
So the U.S. Air Force National Guard answers to the governor of the state that they're in, sort of like
Mhm.
how the reserves answer to the president. Um, I guess something interesting about it is that the family events are kind of funny because you've known like these kids for so long, but all these kids will hang out outside of events, then you won't. So you'll show up like once or twice a year, and then you'll be like, "Hi, oh yeah, I met you like 2 years ago. Remember me?" But like during COVID and stuff, it was interesting because the National Guard, especially in our area, was distributing like medical equipment with the state
Mhm.
police. So it was kind of cool to see. They also do disaster response stuff and like riot response stuff. So you'll see sometimes like during wildfires, the National Guards will go out to that. But my dad being part of aircrew, he's not typically affected by that sort of stuff. But I mean,
Okay.
other jobs are, especially the Army National Guard. In my state, we
Mhm.
have Mount Washington, which is it's a tourist attraction, but it's a pretty dangerous mountain. So they're one of the only rotary wing aircraft that's able to go to rescue hikers because they also have a winch as well, which state police or none of the medical helicopters have. So that's pretty
Okay,
interesting.
that is. Yeah, a lot of people do you know how big the National Guard is? I don't know off the top of my head.
Me neither.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I feel like I don't know a lot of National Guard kids. I mean, maybe I'm lying. If you're a National Guard kid, I know you, sorry, but I think that it's a very, niche at least it feels niche to me. Maybe that's just my opinion. But it's just a very unique experience. Do you think there are any misconceptions out there about the National Guard or National Guard kids, National Guard service that you wanna address?
I mean, there's a joke calling them weekend warriors. I think that's kind of funny
That's kinda
personally,
funny. Yeah.
but I mean, for some people it's true. Some people just see it as like a part-time thing where they're going in for the weekend. But I mean, they also go on deployments. It's not like they're just sitting around. And
Yeah.
there are a lot of people who do work full-time that are National Guard, and
Yeah.
I don't want to disrespect them at all. But
Yeah, of course.
yeah, I mean, there's people that work full-time in the National Guard. It's not just weekend people.
Yeah, that Weekend Warriors, I've never heard that one. So, let's see. Has your parents' military service affected your family even when they weren't deployed? You kinda touched on this before, but maybe your dad having to be on call. Um, do you
Yeah,
ever
that
have
wasn't
big
too
plans
significant.
change?
I don't really know why I thought of that. I mean, it's more of affected us positively, I think, because we know other
Okay.
people and stuff. But
Connections,
I'm
like you said?
yeah. Um, really, like besides direct stuff, I don't think it's affected us that much. I feel like it's pretty good, if anything.
Um, do you think some of the lessons you've learned and experiences you've had came more from, like, being a military kid or just from your dad's, like, unique situation?
I think it's a lot of it's came from being a military kid. I mean, I
Okay.
have a lot of like help when I am going to join the Air Force to make sure I do what I want to do and I don't
Right.
get misled with anything. So I'm happy about that. Um, so yeah.
Okay. So, let's talk about kind of some more personal stuff. How has your relationship with your military parent been affected by their service?
So last year's deployment, it was kind of quick how it came on. It was kind of like a couple months prior, they were just like, "Hey, you guys are getting deployed." So that summer was kind of rough because
Mhm.
my mom was really anxious about the deployment, and my dad knew it was happening. So
Mhm.
we did a lot of stuff as a family that summer, and I think it affected my sisters more that my dad left more than me
Okay.
because it was just kind of like the 3 months before that summer because he left in August.
Mhm.
It was just kind of like, let's go do this, let's go do this, let's go do this. It just felt sort of rushed, but that was kind of
Right.
nice because that's when I did get to go on the guard weekend with him. That was pretty fun.
Yeah, so do you think that having your dad in the National Guard made you realize some of the privileges that you do have as a military kid with your dad, maybe not having to move all the time, but when a deployment does come around, you're like, "Wow, like, we really took this for granted." So, when your dad deployed, how was that like for you and your family?
It was pretty interesting. Um,
Mhm.
I mean, he's deployed a couple times, but I think this was Angela's like first one where she's like moving around. She's not just like a baby.
Mhm.
So it was the first one in a while as well. And it was to a different base. Usually he gets deployed to Ali Al Salim in Kuwait, which is a pretty big base. But this time he got deployed to Navy base Camp Lemonnier in Djibouti. So that
Mhm.
was definitely a new experience for us. And I think it was a new experience for him because he wasn't on an Air Force base. So there's pretty
Mhm.
limited Air Force personnel. I believe it was only pararescue and certain flight crew for C-130s,
Mhm.
which was yeah, that was pretty interesting.
Yeah, for sure. So, how were you said it didn't affect you as much. How like, can you elaborate on that? Like, compared to your sisters? Why do you
I
think you're
think
affected differently?
I don't know. I knew he was coming back. I mean, it's only gonna be like 4 months, so I didn't get like as sad as it as they did, but they were
Mhm.
like pretty sad about it. But I don't know.
I mean, that's normal, of course, to be sad about it. It's just interesting that you guys. Do you think it's a maturity and you're just like more
No, I don't think so. I think it's just we see the world different. I think we have different worldviews based off of our experiences.
okay. Did having a siblings in your case make military life easier, harder, or both?
Both.
Explain.
Um, I don't know. My mom will act different during deployments, and it's nice to have a
Mhm.
sister to talk to about that.
Yeah, for
But it's
sure.
also like the accountability aspect of it. Like being accountable for two other people as the oldest sibling is kind of
Mhm.
hard because ultimately everything boils down to you getting in trouble over them. So the
Of
responsible
course.
one.
Right.
Yeah. So I think that's mutual with all older siblings, as
Mhm.
younger siblings are evil.
Of course.
Yeah.
Right, right, right. If your parent could hear one thing about your experience as a military kid, what would you want them to know?
I'd want them to know that it's okay. I mean, I'm happy with what they do. I mean, I don't see it as a sacrifice for myself. I do it every day. I don't
Mhm.
think I should be concerned when it comes to their service. I think they should be able to do as much as or as little as they want.
That's very sweet. I really like that answer. That's very self-aware of you. If you could change one thing about military life for kids, what would it be?
Definitely more like education kind of around it. Like not just like, oh, this is a military kid, but also like what really is going on. I feel like my dad does a pretty good job of it, but it's also like the base, like what is the mission here? What is the mission of this deployment? I know a lot of it's like classified, so China doesn't find out, but like also some of it's just like, okay, what is this base? What are they doing at this base? What's the point of this base?
Mhm.
You know, especially like for combat deployments in other countries.
Right. Yeah, and that's a really good answer. There's not a lot of resources out there for military teens, and the ones that are not as maybe perhaps widespread as we would like them to be. So rate this podcast.
10 out of 10 would recommend. I've been reposting all the Instagram stuff. I think I'm the only one, so I think we need more people to repost it because poor Allie over here. I mean, just look at her.
If you had the choice, would you choose to grow up in a military family again?
Oh,
Why or why
100%.
not?
100%.
Yeah.
There's so many advantages to it. Um, I definitely think it's one of the greatest things for my life. I think I would be pretty misguided if I didn't have that.
The mentors that you get in the military.
Yeah. I wouldn't have met Allie, probably one of my best friends.
Oh, why are you lying right now? What advice would you give another military kid who's struggling to make sense of military life or National Guard life specifically?
Stick in there, bud.
Okay. Okay. And finally,
Can you
how do you think
ask me like what my favorite airplane is or favorite police car or like favorite gun?
okay, Joey has an Instagram account where he likes to avidly take photos of lots of vehicles and machinery. So Joey, what's your favorite fire truck?
I really like
Or
the Pierce models. I think the Pierce Aero XT. I like Dover Fire Department's E1. It's a brand new one. It's sweet, but it's not typically what they get because it's four-piece instead of custom. Because they usually get custom
mhm,
ones with enclosed pump panels. I don't personally like enclosed pump panels, but I get why they're helpful. It's a lot cleaner because you also don't have to put caps on all the outlets. Or
mhm.
yeah. Any other questions?
Favorite airplane? Go.
I really like F-15E Strike Eagles. They're definitely my favorite fighter bomber.
Uh-huh.
I also like A-10s. Those are sweet. C-130s are pretty cool. I like the Angels of Death, and yeah,
So if you love that kind of stuff as much as Joey does, you should go follow his Instagram. What's your Instagram?
it's gonna be Joey.Papero.
Joey.papero.
Yeah,
And you
you
can
see,
see all of his machinery.
yeah, very cool machinery.
I don't know what it's called.
Avionics and emergency vehicles. Thank you.
So before we go over to Sammy, how do you think your sibling experiences military life differently than you do?
Well, I don't think she's gonna join the military, so I think she sees it probably more as a nerf than an asset.
Okay.
I mean, I think it's pretty goated for real. But low key,
Obviously.
yeah. Well, how do you see it, Allie?
I wouldn't join personally myself.
You wouldn't join?
No.
No.
'Cause, um, I don't really wanna be a doctor in the military.
What if they brought back like cool camo?
So, I wanna go get a undergraduate degree in biochemistry, and then after that, I'm gonna go either get my master's or go to graduate school for dermatology with an oncology focus,
Oh,
and
really?
there's not really a specific, job
So
like that in the military that
that'd be
pays
like
in
melanoma, right?
one of the types of cancer you can get, yes. So, now we're gonna hop over to Sammy. Bye, Joey. Hey, welcome to Home is Where the Heart Is. This is part 2 of my National Guard interview. Today, we have Sammy with us.
Hi.
Sammy, tell everyone a little bit about yourself.
All right. I am Sammy, and I'm gonna be a sophomore this year. My dad is in the military, and I have an older brother and a younger sister. I love sports. I play sports. I love watching sports. All fun things. And yeah.
How long has your dad been serving?
Oh, he's been serving
Since
for a while. I
yeah,
I think maybe like 20 years, maybe a little longer, but
yeah.
he's been serving since like before I was born and then like up until now. So
So Joey told us you've been living in New Hampshire since 2014.
yes.
And your dad is on the National Guard, and Joey made a joke about weekend warriors. How do you feel about his weekend activity duties?
I honestly like it's kind of like part of like the rhythm now. Like I don't know, like it's just pretty normal for my dad to like not be home on weekends because he'll
Mhm,
just because even though we live in New Hampshire, his like unit is in Connecticut.
mhm.
So he'll have to like travel like 3 hours, I think. So it's a little bit of a time commitment to go, but it's not too bad. I feel like we still like see him a lot. It's not like too much, but it's definitely like we have a different routine when he's gone.
Mhm.
So I don't know, but we're pretty used to it as a family, I think.
How does your family's routine change when he's gone?
Um, there's a lot more like planning ahead, I feel like, which is kind of weird because we'll have to like plan like who's gonna drive who where and like
Mhm.
what we're gonna have to like ask people for rides for and stuff. And then there's also just more like, oh, like we could go get Chipotle, like dad's not here, like that kind of fun stuff too.
Yeah.
But
Okay. How would you describe your experience as a military kid? Short.
short, I would say mostly positive. Um, I would say it's pretty different from like anything you would consider as like a military brat. I don't really think I would fit into like super military brat style, but I'd still say pretty like active within like my dad's military like life still. So
Mhm.
yeah, but pretty good, I think.
Yeah. So, if you had to judge your military kid experience as a net positive or net negative, where do you think your experience lands?
Um, I would definitely say positive. I think that there's a lot of things that like my dad being in the military has like taught me and like I've just like learned from those experiences and like also
Mhm.
just like positive things that have come from him being in the military that just I feel like make me like a more well-balanced person and like it's easier for me to do other things because of it.
What kind of things or what kind of lessons have you learned?
Like I feel like especially in my school like it's not very relatable for anyone else. So
Mm,
it's kind of like I don't know, like if there's something that's different and like I'm the only one doing it or something, it's kind of like not easier, but just like a little more like I feel like I could adapt to it easier.
okay. And we touched on this with Joey a little bit, but because you don't have a traditional active duty parent, how different does that make you feel from other military kids? Like you said, you don't feel like a military brat, maybe in the traditional sense. Can you elaborate on that?
Yeah, I would say um based off of like some military brats I know, like, I definitely wouldn't say I have the same experience as them just because, like, I've lived in New Hampshire for so long. I have, like, a lot of friends here and, like, I haven't, like, thankfully had to move around really.
Mhm.
But I would so I wouldn't say, like, "Oh," I wouldn't want not that, like, people who do, like, want pity or anything, but I wouldn't wanna, like, associate myself with that just to, like I don't want people to assume that. But I would say, like, it is similar where, like, my dad is, like, gone, like, not a
Mhm.
ton, but there's, like, a good amount of time where he's not home, and, like, our family does deal with that, and it's not necessarily always negative. Like, obviously, I miss him, but, like,
Of
like,
course.
it's still fine. So, yeah, that's what I mean is, like, I wouldn't say I'm, like, full on, like, "Oh, like, we have to move everywhere," and, like, he's always gone, but there's, like, still some things that are pretty relatable, I think.
Mhm. So let's go specifically into the National Guard. So what is it like having a parent in the National Guard specifically compared to other branches?
I would say it's not, like, a full-time job for him, like, he has been doing it consistently for a long time, but he
Mhm.
still has, like, a whole 'nother job that's, like, his job, like, outside of the military. And I think that him in the National Guard is more of like what Joey said, kind of like a weekend warrior where he'll go down for a few days and
Mhm.
he'll do his whole thing, he'll fly and all that kind of stuff. And then he'll come back and he'll be back to um like his civilian job and stuff.
9 to 5. Yeah.
Y- Yeah.
Do you think people understand what National Guard families go through, or are there misconceptions?
Honestly, no. And I think that's, like, kind of a big part of, like, where sometimes I'll feel, like, a little misunderstood because, especially, like, a lot of the people I know, like, are not in the military, they don't really have much
Mhm.
experience with that. So, like, if I'll start to, like, elaborate on something going on, like, with my dad or, like, my family, I feel like they kinda get confused and they don't wanna, like, ask questions. I don't really know why, like, maybe they're just scared, but then they'll just kind of either stop or they'll just assume, like, I have, like, that traditional, like, military brat life, but I don't. I feel like a lot of people just don't know what it is, and that's, like, fine, but it sometimes
Yeah.
should be.
Yeah, for sure. I was talking to somebody the other day, and they were talking about how a lot of people get their military like conception when they saw the show Jessie and how she was a military brat. Do you know what I'm talking about? And
Oh
her dad was like
oh,
an army sergeant.
I've seen okay, I never actually watched that show, and a lot of my friends have, and they, like, make fun of me for it, but I know a little bit about the show, but I did not know she was a military brat, but, yeah, I definitely think that there's, like, movies and stuff, like, where it, like, just portrays this, like, I don't not even
Stereotypical
yeah, and, like, people just assume the most random things. I'm like,
sleeping in the mud, like yeah.
yeah, they're like
Or when
yeah.
um So, if you could say something to civilians, about National Guard life or military life in general, like what's something that you would say if you could talk to civilian teenagers about military life? What would you say?
Honestly, I would just say, like, ask more questions because it's not like I'm gonna, like, break down crying if I start talking about it or anything. I think a
Mhm.
lot of people think it's more of, like, a sensitive topic, and it's not. Like, I don't know. For some people, obviously, it's different, but for me
Yeah.
personally, I would just, like I would love to, like, talk about it and stuff, and I'd love to, like, share my experiences and funny stories and, like, I don't know, I think people just get scared they're gonna say the wrong thing, and then they just say nothing, which I
Mhm.
get, like, not wanting to mess up, but sometimes, like, when it is, like, the harder moments, it just feels nice for somebody to, like, ask a question, and it feels like they care rather than just, like, not asking at all.
Right. And then you don't want to feel ignored or iced
Yeah.
out. Yeah. For sure. I can totally understand that. What has been the biggest challenge of balancing your parents' civilian life and military responsibilities?
Um, I would say it's probably like, my dad's, like, 2 jobs, like, his military job and then his civilian job are, like, totally different. So, I feel like a lot of the time, they don't, like, really work well together, if that makes sense. like,
Mhm.
especially before, like, my dad has to leave for, like, a deployment or something, it doesn't really, like and obviously, like, it's his job, so he has to do it, but his, like, 9 to 5 doesn't really care, like, that he has to leave that much. They just want him to work as much as he can up until that, which
Mhm.
I get, like, you need to work and stuff, but sometimes it's just, like, a little frustrating because like, he'll have to go away on a work trip for his civilian job, and then it'll be like, "Oh, now he has to go away for the weekend for, like, military stuff." So sometimes it's a little hard because they don't, like, interact well together, if that makes sense.
Mhm.
But yeah.
So, let's talk a little bit about your dad's deployment. Joey said he was gone for 4 months.
Yeah.
So, how was the time leading up before the deployment? Was everyone anxious or were you guys sad?
I think it was honestly kinda different because it was like people were kind of anxious about it, like our family was, but also, like, I remember when I was younger, like, my dad didn't deploy all the time, but it was, like, after, like, 1 or 2 times, I was a little, like, not fully used to it, but I knew what it meant and stuff, but I feel like for my
Mhm.
sister, it was kinda like the first one she could remember. So I think that it was kind of hard for her because she didn't really know what to expect, and I think she just didn't know how to deal with that, like, emotion of it. But I also think everyone just kind of feels that way, like, you don't wanna, like, miss out on, like, the fun, like, just hanging out time before he goes, or, like, you just don't know what to expect. And I think that, like, this time specifically, there's, like, a lot of new parts to, like, our life going on too, so it was a little different. Like, I was starting high school right before he left, so, like, that was just kind of, like, another layer of stress, and it
Mhm.
wasn't horrible, but it was just different than, like, times before.
Yeah, for sure. And what's the best advice you could give? So you said your sister wasn't sure how to deal with the stress, especially since she's so young too.
Yeah.
So for people of all ages, what's the way that you can deal with maybe some anxiety during a deployment?
I think that, honestly, like, for me, I liked talking about it, so, like, with, like, some of my friends, like, I have a few friends who have, like, a military experience too. Not most of my friends, but I do have a few, so, like, it was nice to talk to them about it because they kind of
Mhm.
understood and they knew what was, like, going on, so that was really nice to be able to just, like, have a nice conversation about it with them. And I also think just, like, it's really hard, but, like, when you are just, like, having fun and hanging out, don't get, like, too, like, sentimental about it, just, like, cause then you put all these, like, expectations, like, "Oh, like, it has to be perfect, like, we have to have, like, movie night, like, perfect," like, cause then you just
Mhm.
get, like, these high expectations, and if anything goes wrong, it's like, "Oh, no, like, this didn't work out, like, it's ruined." But if you just, like, enjoy the actual, like, moment and, like, think about it, like, it's only a few months, like, it's gonna be fine, and you just, like,
Mhm.
have fun in the moment, then you'll be fine.
Absolutely. And were you able to talk to your dad during the deployment?
Yeah, I didn't get to talk to him as much as I wanted to, but it was still, like, an option, like, we had, like, an app, I forget what it was called, but it, like, worked and we could call him and stuff. But I think that was, like, another thing that, like, some of my friends didn't really get was, like, I'd be like, "Oh, I'm gonna call my dad now, so I can't, like, hang out right now." And they'd be like, "Why can't you just, like, call him whenever?" And it's like, "Oh, like, there's, like, time, like, zone and stuff, and then also, like, you can't just, like, text him regularly and stuff." So, that was fine, but yeah, sometimes it was hard because like, school and stuff would be in the way, but it's fine.
Yeah, and you learn how to deal with it, like you said, maybe after doing it a couple times, you
Yeah,
get more used to it.
yeah.
How has your relationship with your military parent been affected by their service?
Um, I would say I don't know, I feel like there's a lot of things that like, obviously, I've been around, like, the military kinda stuff a lot, but since it is, like, in a different state and like, National Guard, it's not full-time, I feel like there's still a lot I can, like, learn about it. So, I do like to talk to my dad a lot about it because I feel like I can, like, learn some new stuff and just, I don't know, feel more, like, involved in that part of his life. Because it's, like, a pretty big part of his life. He's been doing it for so long and, like, it used to be full-time too, so he really enjoys it, and I would love to, like, know, like, what he's talking about when he's, like, saying stuff and that kinda thing.
Yeah, absolutely. How do you think your siblings experience military life differently than you do, if at all?
Um, I think for my brother, it I don't know exactly, but I feel like if I were him, I'd kind of feel a lot more pressure because like when my dad's gone, like he's kind of like the man of the house, or like he has to like just take
Mhm.
on some more like responsibilities than he might usually have to. And I also think for my sister, she probably like sometimes she kind of seems like not out of it, but just like a little confused. Like she doesn't really know like where he is for the weekend. Like sometimes she'll be like, "Oh, like is he like flying or is he doing like his other job?" And like she's not really like sad about it. She just doesn't really understand yet. Which I mean, she's
Mhm.
kind of gotten the hang of it, but it's just different for her, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. So, going off of that, did having a sibling make your military life easier, harder, or both?
Um, Probably both. I mean, siblings are kind of hard like all the time.
Of
But,
course.
they're definitely I think it's been nice, like, if I was an only child, I think I would definitely be, like, pretty lonely, I mean, I would have friends and stuff, but it's been nice because, like, I could talk to my brother about things or, like, how I'm feeling about something, and then my
Mhm.
sister is almost kinda like a little distraction, like, I'll just, like, hang out with her for a little bit or make sure
Yeah.
she's doing okay and stuff, but, yeah, I think it's been pretty positive for me to have siblings.
So, can you tell us a story about military life, National Guard life, something that screams like military kid?
Yeah. Okay. So I have this one friend and I love her so much. She's super sweet, but she has like no experience with the military. And
Okay.
we like sit together. We used to sit together every morning because we had like classes in the morning together. And she does since she's like not really in the military lifestyle or anything, she doesn't really understand it totally. So when like going into this school year or like last school year, I guess, my dad was already gone. But I didn't really wanted to like talk about it too like I wanted to talk to people who understood, but I didn't want to like make it my whole thing. So
Of
I didn't
course.
really tell that many people at school. But somewhere along the way it came up. I was like, oh yeah, like my dad's like he's deployed right now. He's in Africa or whatever. And she was like, oh, like that's cool. And I could tell she didn't really understand. So I was like, yeah, it's like not the best, but it's fine, like whatever. And she kind of like dropped it there and I was like, okay. And then somewhere like at lunch or something, like a few weeks later, she's like, yeah, like Sammy's dad went to Africa. Like that's really cool. And she's like asking me, she's like, did he like see any like animals or anything? And I was like, like I don't know if she thought he was like safariing or something. Like I'm not sure, but I was like, he's like doing military like work there. Like he's like flying and stuff. He's not like really seeing animals and stuff.
No
And
zebras.
she was like, really? And then like along Christmas time, and she got it more then that he was doing work, but I don't know if she understood like deployments are like longer because around like Christmas time when he came back, like I was just like, oh, like I'm really excited. Like he got home like a few days before Christmas. Like it was perfect timing, you know, like I'm glad he came back. And she's
Mhm.
like, "He just got back? I thought he got back, like, months ago." And I was like, "Oh my gosh, like, I wish." But she obviously didn't like, she wasn't, like, mean or anything about it, but she just
Yeah.
really didn't understand it. I was like, "This is, like, really funny." Like, I don't
Yeah, and that captures the essence of what you're talking about perfectly.
yeah, like, sometimes people just don't know, and, like, it's fine. Like, I would not expect her to know, but sometimes I don't know why people just don't ask more questions, like
Yeah, I mean, I assume it's a lot of just, like,
yeah,
maybe worried you're gonna say the wrong thing or
yeah,
whatever it is. But that was a great story
yeah,
because
it made me laugh so hard. I was like,
'cause I guess because, like, Africa, I guess most people just think elephants, but there's a lot more to Africa than elephants and zebras.
I was like, my dad is not like riding elephants right now. Like,
Not on vacation, unfortunately.
yeah.
So, what advice would you give to other military kids or National Guard kids, maybe kids in your specific situation or dealing with deployment?
Um, I would say try to talk to people who have a similar experience as you, or at least like know something a little more. But also, like when people ask questions, like I wish they would more, but when people do, like try not to just like shut it down right away. Like, I mean, unless it's like a sensitive topic or like you don't want to talk about it. But
Sure.
I would say like talking about it more is actually, for like me at least, is like nicer. Like I feel like people actually care and like, it's a positive experience for me. But I'd say talking about it, kind of like normalizing it in your everyday, like, oh, like this is like going on and like there's nothing I could really do about it, but at least I could like talk about it and feel supported.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's part of like what I'm trying to do here. Like this stuff isn't just for military kids,
Yeah.
it's for civilians and parents and families to understand what it's like to be a
Yeah.
military kid.
Yeah.
Okay, so if you had the choice, would you choose to grow up in a military family again?
I think yes. I think that although there's been like some kind of annoying moments, there's mostly good ones. Like there's a lot of like connections and like friendships I have like through the military. Like I met Allie because of the military. And like I have so many just like really close friends that I've kind of like bonded over. Like I've started talking to them and like bonding with them because of the military. That it's
Mhm.
just like they've become like some of my closest friends now. And I also think it's just like a helpful like experience to have in my life. Like I could like adapt to things now and just like kind of go with the flow. Like, okay, this is gonna happen. It's gonna happen. So, you gotta deal with
Mhm.
it.
Practice those skills.
Yeah.
Okay, what are you most grateful for about military life?
I probably sound like a broken record because I'm saying like it again. But like those friendships, I mean like some of my closest friends
Connections.
and like connections I have are because of the military. Like I probably would never know you, Allie, unless like our parents like were together in the military. So like,
Right. Yeah, absolutely. Okay, if your parent could hear one thing about your experience as a military kid, what would you want them to know?
hmm. I would probably say like I don't know. I talked to my dad a lot about it, so like it's not really like I feel like we understand each other a lot, but like I don't I don't think he does, but I just would never want him to like feel bad for like being in the military, like leaving for a few days or anything because I just know that he really likes it and like I feel like it's a pretty positive experience for me, honestly. So
Mhm.
yeah, I wouldn't want him to feel bad about doing it ever.
Absolutely. You're gonna hate it when I say this, but you and Joey have like a lot of really similar answers.
Really?
Yeah, like a
Oh,
lot actually.
no way.
He said almost the same exact thing.
No
Like
way.
he said, "Mom, Dad, it's okay. I
Yeah.
like being a military kid."
Yeah.
Which is just so heartfelt. Like you guys.
Here he is, like a few minutes before he's like, "Oh no, we're having completely different answers."
I know before this he was like, "Oh, it's gonna be like so crazy," but honestly, like I
Oh my
think there have been
god.
a lot of similarities with some, of course, minuscule differences. Okay, the last question I'm gonna ask: where is home to you?
I would say home is in New Hampshire. I would say
Mhm.
I've been very lucky to have lived here most of my life, so I have a lot of connections here. And although there's like some other places I've been, not a ton, but there's some other ones. I would definitely say New Hampshire's pretty like this is our place. So, yeah.
Mhm.
And I feel lucky to get to say that because I know not a lot of people in the military get that experience and that luxury.
Yeah, absolutely. Is there any last words that you have?
I don't think so. I would just say, like, even if you're not in the military or if you are, just like, I don't know, be nice to everyone. Like, especially like situations where like you go through, like, I haven't had to start new schools like you have, but like, I don't know, just be nice to everyone and like try to genuinely care about like what they talk about and seem
Mhm.
intrigued at least.
Yeah, of course. Thank you so much,
Of
Sammy.
course.
Thanks for listening to Home is Where the Heart Is. I'm Allie, and I hope today's episode reminded you that you're not alone. We're all in this together. If you want to share your story, email me at thatmilteen@gmail.com or find me on Instagram at thatmilteen to stay up to date in my community. If you're listening on Spotify, please rate the podcast. And if you're watching on YouTube, interacting with this video helps us reach more mill kids like you. Remember, home isn't just a place, it's where your heart is. Bye!
Bye.